Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is longtime listener, poet laureate, and Taya master Anne-Marie Young. This is your Daily Dose of Happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today.
So we're involved in a lot of changes going on here at LOA today. We are shifting a bunch of things around, including the platform that we're recording on. So bear with us as we're going through these changes because you're going to see us show up differently in whatever place you listen to it, whether it's YouTube or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to the show. It's going to show up differently. You're also going to see it showing up very consistently with video. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, that's going to be something new for you guys. But the basic format's going to be the same. It's just that we're doing some things differently because of we're trying to keep up with the times. We're trying to keep up with the way things happen. And if you're a TikToker or an Instagram, you may even see us there occasionally too. So don't be surprised if that happens. But Anne-Marie, for you and me, and for our guests, going to be pretty much the same. We just don't get to hear the intro and outro like we used to. But other than that, it's going to be pretty much the same. So you okay with that?
I'm good. I'm just singing it in my head.
You are okay. Well, that's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. That's a good way to do it. And we're joined today by Ashana Kailani, who is a woman from the South who doesn't sound like she's from the South. That's kind of unusual. Well, that's less unusual than it used to be. It used to be if the person was from the South, you knew for a fact. Now it's not always so true. But Ashana, I mean, before I introduce who you are and so forth, I just got to ask you, how did you avoid that?
So my stepmom was from New York, and if I
Okay.
used words like ain't, y'all, or my grandma would have to go cut the grass. My
Yes.
stepmom would be like, wait, stop, go back, say it again. What are you saying? I had to translate in real time. So
Translate real time. That's a good way to say it. Yeah, I like that. But you are a coach. You self-describe as a reclamation coach. It's an interesting term. How did that come about?
as most things do, a long and arduous journey of rediscovering and reclaiming myself and
Okay.
realizing working with clients like, oh, wait, we're all doing the same things here.
Mm.
And I still sometimes to this day have that imposter syndrome that creeps in, right? Like, what am I really doing here? Um, and I just had the moment of realizing if I'm a few steps ahead of someone, then the best I can do is reach back and say, here's what it was like for me. What's it like for you? Let's troubleshoot. Let's see if we can get the ball rolling a little bit. And here
Well,
we are.
give us the background in terms of what led you to decide you needed to reclaim, because well, that's always the best part of the story anyway.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, I am a former foster child. So I told you about my stepmom.
Mhm.
So there was obviously a period of time where I was with my father.
Right.
Prior, way prior, I was with my mother who had borderline personality disorder.
Ooh.
In between, I was with grandparents, strangers, adoption homes, you name it. I mean, I went to four schools in 1 year in fourth
Wow.
grade. Yeah. So a lot of like reinventing myself and then coming into adulthood, becoming a young mother and realizing, oh no, I have no idea who myself is. This isn't good. This is very uncomfortable. I did not know how to show up authentically. So you add in the dynamics that I carried from my childhood of abusive relationships, codependency, lots of unhealthy coping mechanisms. And I just got to a place where enough is enough. Like, I don't want to be miserable anymore. And I have kids, and like, they want me to play with them and be happy. And I'm laying on the kitchen floor crying. Like, something's got to give. So I started there. I rolled up my sleeves. I did the hard things. There was a lot more crying on the floor, I'll be
Hmm.
honest.
Hmm.
Um, but I realized that I genuinely believe that healing is very relational. I feel like healing is part of the human experience, so I don't really like to call it healing, you know? And we're here and we're together, but it has to start with that relationship with yourself. And I didn't have that. And I think that's the reclamation that a lot of people are needing, if not everyone to some degree.
You're also bringing home to me something that I had thought about, hadn't really given a lot of thought to it. Let me give you a little background. One of my other co-hosts, Joel Elston, is a man who's been through his own troubles. He was a gambling addict and went through all kinds of crazy stuff. But he later became a therapist and then a life coach after that. And in those years, he ended up getting connected to foster care kids, particularly the unadoptable ones.
Mm.
And as I'm sure you know, there's a whole history with all of that. And if you're not adopted, I mean, the life ahead of you is really, really poor and so forth. So I've heard a lot about that. And one of his amazing things, by the way, is he helped find forever homes for 43 of these unadoptable people. So, I mean, that was pretty big.
Wow.
But one thing that we haven't really talked about a lot between him and me is even if you do get adopted, it's not like all the challenges go away. That's what you're reminding me of. The challenges are still there. It's just that now you have a fighting chance.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
Talk
because
about
I
that.
mean, you carry, I just said this last night. We had a group of friends together. It was the full moon. There's emotions. We're just chatting. And there's this saying, like, wherever you go, there you are.
Mm.
And that used to feel so ominous to me. Like, oh, well, here I am with all of my problems, right? And now it's very comforting because it's everything that you've been through that has made you you, and the people who love you, like they love all of those parts too. They have to if they love you. I mean, by extension. And realizing that all that I've been through has led to this alchemy of, you know what? I genuinely like myself. I think I'm a pretty good person. I mean, sometimes I do things that are really cringy. I'm so awkward. It's lovable, it's fine, but everywhere I go, there I am. And I think that that's a more beautiful thing now than it used to be. But it's very true of the baggage. It's very true of the things that we've learned to do to feel safe and to protect the identity that we have. We carry those with us, and it's not always consciously, and that part sucks. But you're right, they don't just go away, and it
Yeah.
takes patience and it takes very special people who can see that and understand it and hold space for it. So your friend sounds incredible.
Well, he's a remarkable guy. There's no doubt about that. And he, like I said, he's been through his own stuff too. He's like I said, he was a gambling addict.
Mhm.
He ended up going to jail because he stole from his family's business. Because he went out to Vegas with all the money, lost it all, was eating out of a dumpster, sleeping on the streets, all this other kind of stuff. Ended up coming through the other side, and the way he tells the story, he didn't really have a choice. It's not like they had multiple choices. It's like you have one choice. This is it. This is the only one you got. You go there. That was it.
Yeah.
But the choices, because of changes he made to his attitude, changes he made to his thought process, and so forth, led
Yeah.
him to a place where he is today. That to this day still is mind-numbingly unbelievable of where he's at.
Mhm.
He's highly successful.
Yeah.
He actually helped create not one but two centers for gambling addicts, which is astonishingly difficult because gambling addicts don't have any money, so they can't
Yeah.
afford to pay for treatment. But he actually got two of them going, and they are going to this day. I mean, it's just an
That's
astonishing.
so great. It
Yeah,
reminds me of the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
yeah, sure.
Awesome book, right? But
Mhm.
like in the midst of horrendous circumstances,
Yeah.
everywhere you go, there you are. I mean, you always have a choice. Even when you're backed into a corner, you have choice internally. And your friend, I feel, is a good example of that. That's awesome.
He's also a big advocate of action. Take action.
Hmm.
No
Yep.
matter where you are, just take action. His
Yeah.
favorite, you know how it is. We always like to share, metaphors and storylines and so forth. His favorite one lately is to talk about how it's like you can get into your car and the only thing you can do wrong is not go anywhere. The moment that you turn on the engine, then all of a sudden things are going to start happening. If you don't go anywhere, nothing's going to happen. But
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
go
It's like,
somewhere.
am I on the right path? Well, are you on a path? Are you moving? Okay, then there you go.
That's right. Yeah. But even so, I mean, going through foster care, that's not something most of us can identify with because we haven't done it. We haven't been where you have. I mean, I have perhaps more understanding of it than many because of my friend.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, Anne Marie, you're a mom. You don't
Mhm.
actually have to deal directly with the foster care thing. I mean, do you ever give any thought to what that side of it is like? Because you got plenty of problems as it is.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, if I'm honest. It's a battlefield and a
It is.
minefield, not a battlefield. Well, sometimes it's a battlefield. Just day-to-day life with
Hmm.
children anyway.
Yeah.
Um, Very difficult.
Yeah. So, Ashana, that's what I think we're looking for more insight about not only what it's like to go through it, but also what it's like to be on this side of it and to have
Mm.
learned what you've learned. Because that's one thing that I've really come to appreciate in the 14 years I've been doing the show is it doesn't matter how bad your crash and burn is. What matters is what you learn out of it. And the things that people learn are absolutely astonishing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the crash and burn is what gives it the flavor, right? Like
Yeah, it's the
your own
seasoning.
specific, yeah. Oh my gosh. So I actually love this question because I did have a moment in recent years where I realized I never stopped to think about what it felt like to be in foster care. I just went through it. I kept going. I helped take care of my siblings. I made the good grades. I got the scholarships. I did all the things I needed to do to be stable later. And I had a moment of realizing, oh my gosh, I was 7 years old, going to sleep in a stranger's home in a new bed. I
Yeah.
was afraid of the dark. I had nothing. I mean, I had a garbage bag of my belongings, right? Like nothing. You have none of the comforts of home. And if you're lucky, it's with good foster parents. I mean, that's really helpful. But my first home wasn't. They were extremely abusive towards my baby sister. And so I had to choose in that moment. I mean, I could have, I'm grateful to younger me, and I hate that younger me had to do this, but I did report it to the social worker. How I knew to do that, I have no idea. I was 7. But I did. And so we were removed from that home and placed in another. And we did have good parents at some points. There were 4 of us kids, and we would be split apart, me with my sister, me with my baby brother. It just depended on who would take which kids. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was constantly having to change yourself to fit into the new family or to fit into the new school. And for me, it came with a sense of who I am isn't really safe. And if I try to relax into who I am and test the waters of, is this safe? Everything is just going to change again anyway. And so it was easier and more comforting to change myself to fit the environment because at least then, this sounds crazy out loud, but at least then it's a fresh start and it's exciting and I get to try on new things. And looking back now, I realize that that is a nervous system that is primed for threat and danger. And, calmness would have been really scary for me. Like, what is happening? I don't like this. Um, but that does something to a person. Everything we go through does something to your personhood, to yourself. And so looking back on the other side and extending that compassion to myself rather than, oh, it's just something that I went through. It's
Mm.
something that I look at my son at 7 and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was the age that I was when I was put into a stranger's home. I cannot imagine. I know it happened to me. I know that it was me that went through it, and I still can't fathom it. So, Anne Marie, you said, like, I can't even imagine what that would be like. I've been through it, and neither can I,
Yeah.
honestly. When you try to put it into context as a mother, you can't.
I mean, 7's such a pivotal age, isn't it? You're still developing, and that's where you get like your core beliefs and everything. And I just think your body was the chemicals in your body just being in that constant fight or flight. How that did that affect the development of the brain, and just so much could be going on at that age.
I was a hot mess, and I say this lovingly. I mean, like my mom had borderline personality, so there was already some things going on, right?
Mm.
A shaky sense of self. I'm naturally very codependent because I learned to caretake and I learned to mirror and all the things. But I mean, I also learned that the main form of communication was manipulation and lying. So that was fun, something that I had to come to terms with. I also went to jail for stealing things, just things that you look at and you're like, why did you do that? And my answer is like, I have no idea. I don't know. I literally don't know. But there was no sense of safety and presence. And so it was just constantly just taking the next hit or making the next thing happen and not understanding why I was so discombobulated all the time.
What you're describing is a survival mechanism.
Yes.
That's
Very
really what that
much
is.
so.
Yeah.
To my detriment, but I will say, like, good job, kudos. You survived, you made it through. The next step for me was releasing the sense of shame that came with all of that, which is every day still a work in progress. close relationships were really hard for me. I I I did not allow people to see me as a genuinely vulnerable human. So I had this tough exterior, right? And my
Sure.
best friend's like, "Oh, you're a Scorpio. That makes sense." You know?
Yeah. Yeah, justify it against the astrology. Why not? Sure.
Oh, that's
Um,
hilarious.
but I mean, it does it really does make sense because if I had never been myself and had that be accepted by someone, then that's a scary thing to do. And so um I remember a really pivotal moment where I was kind of rock bottom for a second and I had this realization of like, oh, I don't think my life has purpose. I don't think anybody would even care if I wasn't here. Like my mom didn't want me, my dad didn't want me. What am I doing here? This is completely meaningless. And that was a weird feeling for me because I was no longer distracting from it and running to the next thing. I was just in it. And once I was in it, I could not get out of it. Oh my gosh. It was like this is dragging me down and it's taking over everything. It's pervasive. Like nothing has meaning. Nothing.
Wow.
And I reached out to a friend and I was like, no matter what you say right now, it's probably not going to help. But working in, the field that I work in, I know that I should reach out right now.
Yeah.
Probably smart. And I was right. What she said didn't help, and that's okay. The only thing that helped was realizing kind of the Viktor Frankl vibe here, like the only way out is going to be through.
Mhm.
And the only person that's going to get me through is me. So I'm gonna have to just be okay with whatever this feeling is and make a choice. Do I want to keep going? Do I want to come out of this? And I had this spark of realization. It was like, well, why am I doing the things I'm doing then? If they're so meaningless, why do I want to help people? Why do I coach? Why do I keep holding space for people? And this light in the darkness suddenly occurred to me, and it's like, because that's what you want to do. That's your intention. That is your intention on this earth. That is what you choose to do. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, holy crap. I think I'm a good person. I think I'm allowed to exist and just be here. And there doesn't have to be purpose and meaning. Like, and I know it sounds like a small moment trying to put it into words, but it was
Doesn't
such a
sound small at all.
Doesn't,
big
Not at all.
yeah, I'm not
experience.
thinking it's small at all.
It's like that moment when you like, I think I like myself. Okay,
That's
cool.
big.
And you
Really
got there
good.
on your own
But I mean,
to a degree.
I say that what my friends said didn't help. The words did not help. The no words could have helped. It was the fact that a person could listen to me and see me in that low point
Right.
and not shame me, not make fun of me, not devalue what I'm saying, like just be there. And I think that was the doorway that I could walk through of like, well, if she can accept me, then this might be a little okay. So yes, I climbed out of that on my own. But I'm a big believer in even if you don't think it's going to help, reach out because that doorway could just
Mm.
be like the slightest crack open. And that's so important because for another person in the same situation as me, that realization might look wildly different and it may be because of what the other person says.
Yeah, that's the one thing you never really know what the ripple effect is going to be until the ripple shows up.
Yeah.
And by then it's too late.
Yeah. You're in it. You're in it. There's this movie that I quote all the time and it's like I'm already in the dumpster. Like I might as well just keep digging. Like here I am.
I love that. That's great. I also love how you kind of danced past it, but you talked about how you were experiencing a feeling that you didn't like very much, and you stuck with it, even though you didn't like it. Yeah, and I don't know if that was based on training, if it was just intuition, or just because that's what you did in that moment. But it was like the healthiest thing you could have done. That was pretty impressive.
I think it was realizing that all the ways in the past that I had chosen to not stick with it. I mean, you name it, I did it, right?
Mm,
I was fun. I was a fun time. I'll say that.
okay.
Um, what is she gonna do? We don't know. You never know. It's a wild card situation. And I just realized like none of those things really brought me what I was looking for. And so I think this was like I'm at the end of my rope and there can't be any more spiraling at this point. And I don't know, I think that's a very sacred and special place to be, even though it sounds awful.
Mm.
I think that's where you really meet yourself because you have
I
to.
think it's true.
Yeah.
Because that's where, I mean, if up until that point you were disconnected from yourself, that's the part where you start reconnecting. I don't think you're
Mhm.
ever actually disconnected, but to
Yeah.
whatever extent that we do disconnect, that's where you start reconnecting. And that's where you start rebuilding yourself, in that you're rebuilding your relationship with yourself. So, because
Mhm.
that's what you're talking about. You're talking about the lack of relationship with yourself. And yeah, you're going to be at the end of your rope when you're in that space, but that's also where you find yourself.
Yeah. Yes. And it's simultaneously like the version of me that I would never want anyone to see. Oh my God, this is mortifying. Like, oh, why am I even here? This is bad, right? Like, ugh, I feel it. But at the same time, it was also that moment of realizing intention matters. And after everything that I've been through, you're telling me that my intention on this earth is to put good out into the world. Like, wait a minute. I'm not evil. I'm not bad. Come on. Like, this is embarrassing and it's awful, but I have a choice moving forward. And that moment happened simultaneously. It was the best and worst thing ever.
That's yeah, well, that's how you know that you're in the midst of a major moment, because you feel not just one emotion, you feel a bunch of them, and they seem to be in conflict with each other, but they're really not.
Yes, and conflict is a good way to put it.
Yeah. So okay, you had your moment, and it was a growth moment, but it's one thing to at least think that you discovered your purpose in life. It's another thing to actually make it your purpose in life. Talk about that piece.
Yeah, yeah, oh gosh, I had a realization yesterday. So I started out in the medical field. I was very like math and sciencey, and I've always loved English and writing and words and communicating, but the validation that I received as a child was through like math and science. And so I was going into the medical field and I did not love it. It was a little too cold for me. It was a little too just impersonal. And so I veered off into nutrition. Loved nutrition. Again, like the memorization and the following the path to figure out what the issue is. Like it was fun for me. But it still didn't allow me to be there with the person. It was still very much like data and test results and all these variables. And so I started to focus my nutrition coaching towards eating disorders because that was another fun part of my past that I had been through and really thought deeply about and realized it's not about what you're putting in your mouth. It's really not. I mean, we're all facing some deeper issues here that are playing out in controlling what we eat or don't eat or how we exercise, all the things. But wait a minute, there's more here. And let's start talking about those. And so I started holding space for women to talk about the experience that led to the eating disorder or that we were having in the midst of it. And a part of me came alive that was like, oh, this is it. This is it. Like, this is what everything has been leading toward. And I realized over time that it wasn't nutrition that I was wanting to kind of like segue into this with. And so I went back to school. I had gone for holistic nutrition, which included like chakra systems and essential oils and all the fun things. And then I found a life coaching school. It was a mind body therapy certification, and that included like guided hypnosis and really trippy things that I was like, oh, this is the stuff. And so I just started having sessions with people where I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, and neither do you, and I recognize that. So thank you for being here. But I know that this is a safe place, and I know that I can help you. I mean, if you want to walk away at any time, sure. But at that point, I had built a community enough that there was a trust there and there was the opportunity there. And so I started doing these sessions. I say doing, I started experiencing these sessions where not only was I able to hold space for the whole person and the data fell away, and we were just there in the moment together, and I was able to relate in a way that I had wanted to so badly as a kid, and I was never able to, and it was never safe. But the person within the session was also trusting me and communicating with me, and that felt like such a just awe-inspiring. Like I'm so grateful. Like you have no idea. This is what living as a human is supposed to feel like. We are supposed to connect in this way.
Mm.
And to this day, I still don't know how to describe what I do in sessions. Like I'm back in school for psychology and getting a degree in potentially social work. I might be kind of swapping over. Um, but I know that I don't belong in an office. I know I don't belong within these strict rules and boundaries of how we do things because to me, something within comes alive when I'm able to be just with a person and just experiencing authentically together. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, math and science and data and research, it all felt so like brainy. And I'm an experiential person. I need like hands-on. I need to experience the things. And I thought, but you're in school for psychology? Like, wait a minute, Ashana, hang on. And then I'm having this conversation with myself, right? And I'm like, no, being in relation with a human, that's the most hands-on thing you can do. That's the most experiential thing that you can do. And so I follow it. I go with the flow. I do classes, I do speaking gigs, and what comes of it comes of it. And if that's not following your purpose, I don't know what is because it lights me up and I'll never get tired of it.
I also love, I don't know if you did this intentionally. I have a feeling you didn't, but you mentioned at one point that you had this dysfunctionality in your background, and you said it in a way that was, oh, how wonderful that was. I mean, that's not normally the way we tend to express things in our society, but it's also a great way to express what happens when you come through something and you look back on it. And that's what I heard when you were saying it that way. Because when you
I
look
did not
back
mean
on
to
it,
do
it's
that.
different. What's that?
I did not mean to do that.
You
Thank
didn't
you.
do that. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, not on purpose, but it's true. Like it's I don't know, humans are so like every single human. I don't care what you've been through. You cannot convince me that you're not amazing. You'll never be able to. Like, you are a masterpiece. You are a work of art. And it is the greatest privilege to be able to watch someone figure that out and experience that in real time. It's like that's what we're here for. I genuinely believe that.
That's one of the best descriptions I've ever heard about why it is I do podcasts. I mean,
Yeah.
Anne-Marie knows. Anne-Marie's a former listener who became a co-host, but she knows from all the years I've been talking about this. I did this for me. I wasn't doing it for the listeners. When the listeners came along, I was like, oh, okay, great, yeah. But
Welcome
I was,
aboard.
yeah, but I was doing it for me. And in the process of doing it, I kept learning about the value of all these different perspectives from all these different people who are learning all these things and like, wow, this is really cool. I actually get to see kind of like what you described. I could see for, 45 minutes to an hour or even more sometimes a little bit of growth going on during that conversation. How cool is that? That's pretty much what you described. I mean, I do it in 1 hour segments, one time with that person. You do it repeatedly, but nevertheless, it's a similar
Yeah.
experience.
Yes. Yeah. And the cool part about podcasting I've found is like you're able, I mean, not just podcasting, this is any conversation. You're able to reflect back like this is what's cool in what you just said. This is what I heard. And then you can kind of go from there and it's like now I'm going to take a piece of this conversation forward with me and it's literally changing how I show up in conversations in the future. Like I know it starts to sound so woo woo when I get into it, but I'm like human connection, that's everything. That's everything. Like after this day, the three of us are changed. There's a ripple effect, and it doesn't have to be massive. But my thing is if it can help a stranger smile or if someone remembers one thing or you're having a really bad day and you're like, "No, this person said this thing and I'm going to choose to believe that and keep going." Like there you go. That's our purpose.
And I would argue actually that the ripple effect is always massive. It starts off small and it gets bigger over time.
That's true. That's true. Hopefully in good ways.
It, well, you're right. It could be either way. It depends what it is that you're putting out
Yeah.
there. If you're putting out something consistently good, though, it's going to come out pretty good at the end. I mean, there's just not any
Yeah.
way around that. That's, law of
Yeah.
attraction. That's just the way it works.
That's beautiful.
That's a wonderful thing. So let's talk a little bit about what's happened now that you become the coach to others, and you found the way. First of all, you found your way through to your thing, to the thing that lights you up. Congratulations for doing that.
Thanks.
But now you actually had to go start doing it. Talk about that experience.
Yeah. Um, okay. So I have this 12-week program, right? And it's my baby. And I'm very grateful that it birthed itself into existence here, but it was the result of I was trying really hard to create a program of plant-based eating.
Mm.
Here you go, plant-based 101. Here's how we do this. And I told you I love writing. I've always loved literature and English and stories and communication. I sat down to write it, and my brain was like, no, this is not it. And I kept trying. I kept trying until finally I was like, okay, let's just see. Let's just see. I'm just going to write. And I sat down and I wrote an entire first lesson. And then I read it and I was like, what in the world is this? And so I put it out there and I said, is anyone feeling, oh, I'm sorry, I keep hitting this poor plant. He needs a new home. Is anyone feeling overwhelmed, self-judging, you're still like hypercritical, you have these voices from your past maybe that are holding you back and you're not showing up as who you want to be? If so, same. Let's work through some stuff. Like I came up with this cool thing. I think you might like it. And I instantly had several women who were like me, I need that. And I'm like, what? And so I put the first module out. We went through it together in real time. This was a live transition into what I do now. And they were like, this is amazing. When are we meeting again? When is the next module coming? And I was like, okay. So I sat down and I took their feedback and I sat with like the energy of what we were all going through, and the next module came. Again, I stepped back and I read it and I was like, what the crap is happening right now? Like, this is crazy. Put it out. They were like, this is great. Let's keep going. And I'm like, okay. And so we kept going until we literally had 12 modules done. And it was this beautiful culmination of like, I did not write that. I still read it to this day. And I'm like, when did I write that? And it continues to be, open enrollment. Like people can come and can take the course. But from that, I've also had like spin-off ideas of like, why don't we do like, are you struggling in motherhood? Because it's all the same thing, the self-regulation, the self-love, self-trust, self-compassion, self-validation. Let's do it. And so we have like the motherhood portion and I'm struggling to make concrete plans and do things because I'm still in the daydreaming mode. Like I offer what comes and I'm like, "Hey, does anyone need this? Because I'm going to try it." And people are there and they're like, "Hey, yeah, let's do this. This is great." And so from that, it's like I have one-on-one sessions. I don't know how to describe what you would call it. It's not a therapy session. I'm going to school for that if that's your thing. But I'll just be there and now we do like the weekly call for women. That's like I still don't know how to describe what happens there, and yet the women are coming and we're having community and it's its own magical thing. And I know that all sounds very humble and I'm not trying to talk myself down in this. I know it's great, but it's not me alone doing it. It's the community and it's happening. And it just, I'm here in it. And if it's time to pivot, I'll pivot. But I'm having so much fun and it's so rewarding. And that's how it happened. I was nervous and confused the whole way. And it was me in process, being in process with these ladies. And like I said, if we're a step ahead, even just one step ahead, it's like, well, hey, this is what that was like for me. Let's talk about what it's like for you. Let's troubleshoot. Let's see what do you need moving forward.
I love how you described downloads so perfectly and didn't use the word download. I think it's really impressive.
It was an experience. It was very like, what is happening? Okay.
Well, I get that because the first time that you experience a download, that was my wording for it. What the hell was that?
Yeah. Okay. I will help with this thing, whatever it
It's
is.
amazing when it happens, and then you go with it, and you get the kind of feedback you got, which
Yeah.
is usually what happens if you're true to a download, meaning you're not trying to change it, you're not trying to turn it into something, you're just even if it sounds crazy, you're putting it out there and oh my God, something comes back. That pattern plays out over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
those who are able to just go with it are the ones who experience the most success. And that's what you're describing. Once again, the same story being played out. It's so cool.
It's slightly delusional and I'm here for it. I mean, I told you I was a fun time. Like I was the pivot queen and here we are.
What do you think, Amory? Is that really delusional? That's not quite the word I would have applied to, but I mean, you tell me.
Not delusional. I just think those download moments are just insane, and you just look down and you see what you've written, and it's just like, whoa, where did that come from? But then it just feels amazing because you just, again, it's, you said about that view of connection, and you do your group with your women, and that's the connection, but it's also that connection with whatever it is that's bringing that down, and that's that connection to yourself, and something I just find it incredible, and I just find it so exhilarating.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no words.
Mm.
Well, I don't know. You did pretty well for words. For somebody who didn't have any words, you came up with a few of them.
I never claimed to be a woman of few words.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I'll go with that. That's fine.
There are no words. I'm going to find some words. From there, what you take of it, I don't know. We'll see. It's an adventure we're on together.
That's
Mm.
fair because what you're basically saying is if I have to make them up, I will. The words are going to come out. I just can't tell you what they're going to be.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So talk a little bit about the reception because you already indicated people said, "Yeah, I really want this." What are the parts that really resonated, do you think?
So I've heard the most that it was how I spoke about the experience. I wasn't trying to sugarcoat it, and I wasn't trying to say, "Hey, I have all the answers. Like, come to me and I'll heal you." It was very much, this is what this has been like for me, and I'm raw, I'm open, I will write about it. I mean, I wrote a series of poems called Letters to My Father that was pretty pretty difficult, and I decided to share it with a few people. Um, and that was a very sacred thing. And so I've learned to listen to that nudge and continue to share, which was a fine line for me because, like I said, I didn't like being super vulnerable. And I also didn't want people, people out there watching me, to be like, wow, this girl is trauma dumping, like, oh, no one wants to hear that. Um, but that, just like that download feeling, there's that nudge, there's that feeling of this is significant, and I don't think this is meant for just me. And I know there's other people out there who might be feeling this. And so I would share pieces of my story for context. And this is what it felt like for me, and this is what the process has been. And if you are going through something similar, let's figure it out together. I may not have answers for you, but we're going to learn something and something's going to change. And like you shared before, the action and the movement is what's going to move that needle a little bit and in a direction. Can't guarantee it's going to be the exact direction we want, but we don't want to just sit in it. And I think that's one thing that we could all agree on, all of us who are experiencing those emotions. We don't want to just keep sitting in it because that's uncomfortable. That's what got us here. We just don't know what to do. We don't know where to go.
Mm.
Something else that jumps out at me is how you've mentioned numerous times now about how you always were reluctant to experience or to express any degree of vulnerability. And yet your entire approach with your women's group is all about you expressing vulnerability. I mean, Amory, that jumps out to you too, right?
Yeah, massively. So authentic, and just like, this is me, and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but I'm going to do it, and I'm going to trust, and I'm going to share. And yeah, and that's probably why it's so successful, because people can relate and people can trust because you are being yourself.
Yeah. I think there came a moment where I had to realize that being vulnerable around my mom wasn't okay. Being vulnerable around my dad wasn't okay. To some degree, being vulnerable around my siblings, I had been on kind of a pedestal as the sibling that like takes care of the other siblings, right? And so I
Yeah.
had these shoes to fill, and um when I learned that those closest to me were still struggling in their own ways, and me coming off that pedestal was kind of a threat to the system. It upset the system. That was a whole like black sheep situation of its own that had to be dealt with, had to be felt, had to be, I was angry, right? But once I became a little more okay with that and was like, okay, so I can choose who to be vulnerable with, but I have to look really carefully at why am I being vulnerable? Because with them, I was still trying so hard to get them to understand me, to want me, to all the things. Like I wanted to be loved so badly. And so I think there was a shift for me into being vulnerable in this way feels good because it feels like it's progressing in a direction that feels like growth.
Mm.
Whereas the close relationships that I had internalized that I couldn't be vulnerable, that didn't feel like growth. That felt very like I was seeking. I was constantly hunting for something. I was constantly trying to get something. And so I became aware of that feeling. And if I ever started to feel like I was getting that feeling again, like social media was a big one for me,
Mm.
I would just be like, no, I'm not posting anything until it feels more authentic. And I'm posting for a reason that feels like growth. And I learned to just set the phone down and go be in nature, walk, meet my needs in other ways. And I mean, it's still a fine line, right? Like we're humans, we want love, and I have to be vulnerable. I mean, I could not, but that's lonely.
Yeah.
I don't know that I love it any more than I used to, but it is very rewarding. So,
Wow. It's this is one of those conversations that I wish could go on longer. And today we're actually on a short tether because you have something you have to go do right immediately afterwards. So we're cutting it a little bit shorter than we normally would. But we do have a few things we like to do at the end of every program. First and
yeah.
foremost, somebody who wants to find your weekly women's program or your 12-week program, and we should probably give them an idea how to find that.
It's very simple. So, my business name, if you could call it that, is Way Home Wellness. So very easy, wayhomewellness.com. There's a bar at the top that you can navigate to the call, to the work, to the library, and hopefully find your way home within yourself.
Excellent. And we'll include a link in the show notes as well. Second thing I like to do is because Anne Marie, like I said, is a former listener, and now she's a co-host, and she's also really good at listening to these conversations as well as participating. I want to know how she ties it all together. And especially, I want to know how she ties it together today. So, Anne Marie, how are you tying it together?
Oh, wow, I'm just in awe. I just think you're amazing. What a story of resilience, and just how you've had that background and you just worked through it. You got to know who you are and love yourself and just being who you truly are and still growing now, not, just keeping at it, which I think is always so admirable. But I think some of the nuggets that I took from that is even if you think it's not going to help, still reach out. You don't know what the ripple effect may be. I think quite often now, certainly, even though social media is out there and we're connected to so many people so easily, we still can be quite lonely and insular. So I thought that's really good advice, and I'm going to actually do that more. And the other bit I loved was the intention matters. And from this conversation, listening to Ashana, I would say how much she trusted her intuition as well and listening to herself. And I suppose that comes along with getting to know and truly understand yourself. But trusting that intuition and taking the action.
Beautiful. I love it. One final thing that I like to do on Shauna, this has been something I've been doing going on 5 or 6 years now, but I noticed that we now live in an era where we don't get credit so much for the times we help people. And I figured, well, I'm a co-host of a show, so I can do that more. So, Ashana, on behalf of those people that you've never met, never seen, never will meet, and never will see, who you've been helping in ways you didn't know about just because you've been sharing your message out there over and over and over again, on their behalf, thank you for what you're doing because you are making a difference in this world.
That's
Thank you.
beautiful. Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had fun.
We do too. It's the best thing, right? We all get to have fun. Thank you very much. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.